Welcome to ComicCast issue number 175, brought to you by Dwayne's World Comics and Games, 457 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. They carry comic books, graphic novels, statues, toys, gaming, merchandise, including miniature games, board games, and RPGs. Check them out, Dwayne's World Comics and Games, Kingsport, Tennessee. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Adam Wade Adams.
I'm Jason. Sorry, I did the opposite. I muted myself.
This is Gaumer.
We're rocking and rolling. We are at ComicCast Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, wherever you get social with your media. Also, you're listening to this on YouTube or somewhere else. I don't really know. Make sure you smash that like button, share out the link. Let's grow this live chat. We are joined by special guest this week, writer, creator, Matthew Rosenberg. Thanks for hanging out with ComicCast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was a very exciting introduction. The music and everything, and I got a little notice that said that I was on mute. It was exciting.
Yeah, it tells you can't talk.
Do it 100 times in a row, bro. Do it 100 times in a row. It'll get boring as hell.
Nah, it gets real boring after the introduction's over.
Yeah, until we start talking.
It goes downhill fast.
Real quick.
Well, I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Awesome. We got
play it again if that's the highlight.
I'll save it. If it gets real bad here in a few minutes, we'll can it. But
got to it.
We got a few hanging out in the live chat. Chad Johnson's here. Yule Carter says, I hope Boogie wears a bib when talking to Rosenberg. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Drooling over stuff all the time.
Come on, shut up, man. Just because I like the Punisher doesn't mean I need a bib. The Mastodon is here. William Pace is here. Ninja Fingers is hanging out. Guys, we're taking questions. I've got a free trade paperback going out to, and look, it's not like, oh, well, Boogie's just already read it. No, my copy is back here. This is an extra copy that I'm going to send out to whoever asks the best question in the live chat. But do make sure you guys smash the like button.
Chad Johnson's got a great question to start things off with.
Oh, really?
No, well, he's still in my thunder because, look, I'm ready. What is your favorite Rocky movie? That's the most important thing on ComicCast. Matthew Rosenberg, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
Well, the first one.
Thank you.
Isn't that everyone's
Thank
favorite?
you.
Not everybody.
It is mine.
It's mine. First one.
The first one is I think my favorite. I like 2. I don't really care about 3. I didn't like 4 when I was young, but now I like 4.
There you go. No, that makes sense.
This man.
Like 4, I've grown to appreciate a lot, and then after that, it's kind of a.
Oh, super silly. It's campy. You know what I mean?
He ended the Cold War, guys. He ended the Cold War.
I think I was just the opposite. Whereas when I was younger, 4 was, I guess it was the cool one. It was the one to like. But then as I got older, I grew to appreciate the first one a lot more, and now the first one's my favorite.
Dude, even 2 was so good. It was like extra bloody. You know, that fight was like the most bloody fight.
3 is good, man. Clubber Lang. 3 is
you can't mess with 3.
Yeah, freaking Hogan's in there. So there you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and 5 he buys that robot for his friends, and
that's 4. Yeah, 4.
That's 4.
Part 5 is when things go downhill with Tommy Gunn and like Uncle Paulie sold all his stocks and stuff and like made him bankrupt. God,
yeah. Everyone knocks down the 5th one. But if you think about it,
here we go.
If you think about it story-wise, it makes sense. That's
where
they
does.
went with it.
No one's ever seen it though, so
I think the reason 5 happened was because his wife at the time, which was Ivan Drago's wife from Part 4, Bridget, whatever, like took him for all his money. She actually made him bankrupt in like a divorce, so like in real life. And so he made that 5th one to get more revenue, and he made Rocky go through the same thing of like losing all his money and his fame and stuff.
Cheaper to keep her.
This is too much inside info.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. We're passionate about Rocky.
Let's get into some comic-related questions. Somebody's got to win this free trade paperback. Ninja Fingers says, Matthew, are comics influencing the movies or vice versa? And your thoughts on that influence?
Okay. First of all, hi Ninja Fingers. I don't really know what to do with that name because that doesn't It's not very evocative.
It's like thumb wrestling. It's advanced thumb wrestling.
Is it?
With your fingers?
That'd be my guess. That would be my guess.
I like it.
I like it.
But I don't know what it means.
Sounds like a fast gamer, you know? He's like really good at playing. I don't know.
Ninja fingers. All right. If you're talking superhero stuff, you know, it's pretty much 90-10. The comics influence the movies. Like the comics the movies are based on stories and stuff. But you do see it start to flow back sometimes where, like, you know, there's sort of a, like, I mean, I feel like the Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Tony Stark is sort of now what people expect Tony Stark to be like, which it wasn't always like that. Mm-hmm. And there's little things like that, but usually it's like 90-10. But in terms of a greater scale of things, like in terms of a broader view of cinema, I think that comics have a really big influence on sort of storytelling and the way storytelling works. But I think you see it more on TV. I think you see it on like things like Lost and Game of Thrones that are like building stories in the way that, you know, like it's obviously influence drawn from like stuff like Chris Claremont and John Byrne and people doing like that. Like it's a lot of the people who are show running sort of smart television now grew up reading the sort of long soap opera for boys comics that you know, the 80s and 90s. So there is a big influence in that direction, but in terms of just like superhero stuff, no, it's pretty much a one-way street at this point. But you know, that could change.
I got to go backwards and hit a super chat real quick. I forgot. This came in before we went live. I have to read it. Chad Johnson says, "This is for Matthew having to see my nipple at collected Fort Worth."
Here's the thing. Geez. Here's the thing. I didn't see his nipple. We took a picture. I think it was Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day? Yes, it was Free Comic Book Day. And we had a bunch of Marvel guys had agreed to go do a con in Dallas, and then a bunch of retailers were like, "It sucks that you're doing a convention on Free Comic Book Day and drawing people away from comic book stores." And we were like, "Oh, we didn't realize that because we agreed."
Oh, Guilt is still the best.
Yeah, it's really good.
Good job, comic book stores.
Well, actually, the store who yelled at us, we didn't. A store yelled at a bunch of us, and we were like, well, we didn't realize that. We signed our contracts before there are dates for the shows, so we didn't know that. And then me and Ed Brisson and Donnie Cates went out, and Donnie brought his car, and we drove around and we signed it, I think 4 shops in the morning before the convention. And we didn't end up signing at the shop that yelled at all of us. I think it was a coincidence that we didn't, but I was also...
That's the way the universe works.
Yeah, it's the way the universe works. I'm like, you yell at us, and then you're going to get a bunch of Marvel talent in all your competitors' stores in the morning. But so he came out, and he took a picture with, I think, me and Ed, and then later was like, yeah, in the picture, my nipple's out, which is true. He's supposed to do this online. But you know, like it's a picture. Like we're looking forward. I didn't know that. If he didn't tell me his nipple was out,
see, he's our number one fan. This tells you a lot about what you've agreed.
Yeah, you just walked into a disaster. I know you've been on a scavenger hunt on Twitter today, looking for comic stores that have your signed copies of Hawkeye Freefall, which we're going to get into. Hang on, guys.
Yeah.
Yul Carter owns Fantastic Comics out in Berkeley, California, and says thanks for sending signed comics and stuff to my store.
There you go. Yeah.
Cool. Nelson Carvalho says, who's your favorite Avenger and why is it Hawkeye?
Well, it's Hawkeye. And I made a joke. I made a bunch of videos for comic shops in the past month where I was like, you know, I said to stores, like, if you want me to make a video saying to come pick it up at your store, like, I'll do it. And a bunch of, I think like 60 stores were like, yeah. So that means that I'm like making these videos for
You need
hours.
to do one where it's just a video and then, thank you, comic book shop X.
Yeah.
Was you thinking of?
If I was,
wasn't Jim Zub the one that did that originally, right? Or was it Zdarsky?
Did it. Zdarsky.
Okay, yeah, Zdarsky, yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Zdarsky did it before me. Chip did it before me, and ended up, I think, doing 3 more stores than I did.
Oh, show off.
Yeah, but the other thing is the Chips are all like different and really funny. But if you watch them, you watch him slowly start to lose his mind, as you can tell. Because by the end, he's just like, Daredevil, coming. Like, he's so bummed to be doing it.
Wow.
I was like, oh, there'll be 2-minute videos and whatever, and I had to make 48 of them. It'll be not a problem. And it like setting them up and figuring it out, and like I get the names of stores wrong, and I just like, I ended up doing it over like, I think it took 5.5 hours. It was like fucking awful, but I was sending them out, and I kept saying, like, I'm going through my spiel, and I kept being like, you know, I'm writing this book. It's about the best Avenger, Hawkeye, and I was just saying it to be funny or whatever. And then people started asking me like, why is Hawkeye the best Avenger? And so I had to actually come up with an answer. And I actually, I don't know whether I believed this subconsciously beforehand or I tricked myself into it now, but Hawkeye is my favorite Avenger and the best Avenger because he has no superpowers, and I think he's the most human and most relatable. Like, we talk a lot as Marvel writers, we sort of talk about like a good entry point and like access point to the Marvel universe, and it's always like, well, Peter Parker is very like relatable in a lot of ways, and you know, Captain America is like just a good dude, but like Hawkeye's not. He doesn't have a super soldier serum. He's not a mutant. He's not in armor. He's just a dude who, like, he was a fuck up and no one was looking out for him. And then, you know, he turned into a criminal, but he's not like a bad guy. And then someone stepped into his life and was like, hey, you could be a hero. And he sort of now is taking his time to like try and repent for his mistakes and do right. But he still screws up a lot of stuff, and he's still, you know, just kind of like trying his best and trying his hardest, and in a lot of ways I think he's the most relatable Marvel superhero. Like, I think he's the most everyman kind of hero that Marvel has. So like, that's why I think he's the best Avenger and why he's my favorite Avenger. Because
is that what we can expect from the new series? Sort of more down to earth, just the average Joe sort of character?
Well, you know, like Matt Fraction and David Aja did like the Hawkeye like in his downtime kind of book, and it's great, and I love that book so much, and it's a huge influence. But I think the thing about their book is that it was like so unique and so different from everything else, and still sort of is, that you sort of, when you follow a book like that, I mean, obviously other people have followed since then, but like, I didn't want to do just like Hawkeye in his downtime, because they were, you know, Matt and David went and came and sort of reinvented what a Hawkeye book could be. So I think it's sort of my duty to do, like, every time someone writes Hawkeye, they sort of need to reinvent what it could be.
Okay.
And so ours is a mix. It's a lot of the like down to earth human stuff. Like, you meet his girlfriend, you see his friends, you see him, but it's also like superhero stuff. Like, it's more superhero-y than Matt and David's run. Like, he's hunting supervillains, and there's a lot of other heroes showing up, and you know, so it's a mix.
I love what you did with him in Tales of Suspense. I thought he was just great. He brought a great humor, levity. You know, he's so funny and quippy. the interaction between Winter Soldier also was just a great dynamic. And I really hope to see more of, you know, those three main characters in your upcoming story.
Yeah, I'm probably not supposed to say, but yeah, Winter Soldier and Black Widow are both in Hawkeye.
Awesome. I heard a rumor the Hood is in there.
The Hood is in there. The Hood is our awesome. Big bad.
Awesome.
I love the Hood.
So Hawkeye is going to make the Hood quiver with fear.
Oh, wow. Jeez, you've been waiting to say that, haven't you?
That's why Adam's here
actually
for the one-liners. Yeah, I kind of wondered about Clint's.
So much.
I kind of wondered about Clint's personality too, because like Jason said, reading that Tales of Suspense, you know, he provides more humor, but it works so well because of Bucky being alongside him. So what is he going to provide the humor in Freefall, or what kind of personality is Clint going to bring?
I mean, he's funny, and we want to lean into that sort of humor and the jokes and stuff, but he's also like, the story's a little darker in some ways than you know, like Tales of Suspense. Not that it's not a dark story or whatever, but Hawkeye Freefall is both like a comedy and not a comedy. So the humor is sort of balanced against watching him sort of spin out of control. I mean, that's sort of a big theme in the book, is like Clint getting in over his head, because that's what he does. I mean, he's a normal guy who's an Avenger, and it's sort of about him rushing into things and like not knowing how to get out of them and not making the right choices. So like, he's making jokes, but a lot of times like the jokes are sort of a defense mechanism for the fact that he's like pretty fucked. He's pretty scared and like in a bad situation. So yeah, I mean, I think it plays out. I think by the end of issue 2, people will see that there's a sort of weird thing developing in the book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to picking that up. It's January 1st, right? Is the release date?
January 1st, New Year's Day. Yes.
Nice.
The best day to release a comic book.
You say that jokingly, but honestly, after this Christmas week, there's like nothing coming out. I think people are going to be hungry and want to read something.
Yeah.
So I think it is pretty good timing, actually. Like with real comic fans, they're going to pick it up.
Yeah. I'm used to the Wednesday. Yeah. And being like, what's it going to be like on Wednesday? And I think January 1st, like people are not going to go out, but I think like they'll be trickling into shops Thursday and Friday.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Definitely.
Let me hit this question, then I'm going to piggyback on it and make it my own because that's what I like to do. Okay. The Mastodon says, "Is there anybody you would like to work with in particular? Who is it and why?" And I want to piggyback on that and talk about the Punisher because we were on that, especially myself and Gaumer. We loved that War Machine arc, but when you teamed up with Kudransky, that book went to another level.
I could hear you two talk about just the creative process of that book for hours, like issue by issue. And you guys should do a podcast over and over, every panel, because I would blow that up.
All right. Well, going back, who is there someone I'd like to work with? Yeah, I mean, there's an infinite number of people I'd like to work with. Every time you see a book that looks cool, you're kind of like, oh, I'd like to work with that person. I mean, like my heroes, my sort of art idols, like Frank Miller, obviously, Jeff Darrow, people like that. But yeah, I mean, there's always new people like that you sort of come across where you're just like, oh, I just love everything this person's doing. Like Chris Somney, I think is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I could list people all day, but there's not one person where I'm like, oh, I need to work with them. I had a real not to do interior work, but getting a Alex Ross cover for an issue of my book was like,
that'd be amazing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he did a cover for my run on Astonishing. That's just the original 5, and it was like that was a heavy moment when they sent that to me. I'm trying to remember who else. Like I have Jim Lee is like a huge. Sure. I mean, like I'm a Punisher and X-Men guy. Like Jim Lee is the top of the list. Also like Joe Quesada. I've had books where Joe's done covers and it's awesome, but he's one of my heroes in terms of all of it.
He's supposed to be doing something next year too, pretty big.
Joe?
Yeah,
I'm sure he is. He's always doing a lot of stuff. He's always super busy. That's all I can say about that.
I figured.
Gomer dropping that inside knowledge. Get out of here.
Everybody on your list up to Joe Quesada, I was like, that all makes sense. Like, wait a minute. I've heard his name recently.
I'll kick you out of here.
We're not breaking anything tonight, I don't think.
Let's go. Let's
breaking tonight.
Let's backtrack. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, the Punisher and working with Simon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Simon, he was the thing that's always amazing about him to me that I don't think people realize is that he is like maybe the fastest artist in comics.
Wow.
He came
it's
onto
hard to
the
believe.
book. Yeah, he came onto the book. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school because they were solicits. He wasn't the original artist on the series. And when the book was supposed to be launching, we had to change artists. And I said, like, what are we doing? Like, we're screwed. Like, do we resolicit? Are we pushing it back 2 months? And they were like, no, Simon's going to come in and do it. And we're going to push it back 1 week. And I was like, it's a 30-page issue. How is this guy who got the script yesterday going to do this in 12 days? And they're like, he said he can. And I was like, well, he can say whatever he wants. But, I think he did it in 11. I think he turned it a day early.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Man.
That is incredible, dude. That is incredible.
He did. I think we're one of the only teams at Marvel in the past 5 years. We did 17 issues together in 13 months.
Yeah.
There were double ships.
Yeah.
And no fill-ins. Me, Simon, and Antonio on colors. And he was doing other books. He was doing Superman stuff with Bendis at DC. He was doing odd fill-in stuff here and there. And towards the end of my run, he'd already started on Fallen Angels. He was doing X-Men stuff. So yeah, he's a wizard and a genius and a magical dude. and I love him dearly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really hope that someday they release the black and white stuff. Antonio's colors are amazing and I love them, but sometimes the black and whites, like you look like you just look at it and it looks like you're looking at like stills from a really super insane movie. Like his contrasts are so great, and like
wow.
There's stuff in just the colors where I'm like, you're just the greatest colorist in the world can't do justice to like how good his like grayscale is. So I'd love it if it could come out in black and white someday. I don't think that'll ever happen, but it would be cool. But yeah, he's amazing. I was really lucky to get to work with him, and it's really fun because like at a certain point, like I knew where he would just like blow stuff out and go crazy, and sort of being able to working with him for 17 issues was a good opportunity to sort of like lean into that, especially in the Punisher where you're just like trying to go as crazy and weird as you can all the time. So yeah,
that blows my mind. That's amazing.
I'm not drooling, guys. Stop saying that in the chat. Let's hit another question here, guys. Anybody trickling in late? We are going to give away a free copy of 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank. Great story, man. Really good, really good. We're going to give it away to whoever asks the best question, and Matthew Rosenberg will be the villain that decides. But William Pace says, when did you first realize you wanted to get into comics?
I want to backpack on that and also ask when he made the transition going from working in like the music business to writing comics. Because I myself, I work for $20 Spin, like a death metal, doom metal label. And I just really am interested in that segue of how you did this. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's a good Void shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
So I've been into comics my whole life. Like I was not, I grew up and my older brother read comics, and so I would steal his comics, and I grew up with a comic shop on my block. So that was before I could go out on my own. Like my parents were like, well, you can go to the comic shop because you just have to cross one street. And I think my mom would watch me from the window to make sure I didn't get hit by a car or like thrown in a van crossing the street. And then I go in the comic shop and come back.
Vance's free comics.
Yeah. Like, oh, God, the free comic creeps grabbed my kid. So yeah, I mean, I've just been in the comics since I was 3 or 4. I've just always loved them. But I think my story is a little weird compared to a lot of like my sort of peers because, a lot of the comic writers, especially I know, sort of were like, I always wanted to write comics and sort of work towards that. And I didn't really grow up with a lot of friends who read comics. It was always very much like I go to the comic shop on my way home from school. And then I read the comics in my room at night alone, and I didn't talk to anyone about them. I wasn't on message boards. I wasn't in any groups, and like, I don't think the guys who worked in the comic shop liked me. So like, I wasn't really talking around. And so it was always just like a super solitary thing. And so I never thought about like how they're made or anything like that. And I can't draw at all, so like that was never an option. And just the idea of being a writer was not, especially when I was getting into it. Like, the big names were all the artists. It was always like, the Jim Lees and the Todd McFarlanes and the Liefelds and like of that era. Like there were a lot less people talking about, the writers on those books. And so once I knew that I couldn't do what, Todd McFarlane did, I was like, well, I can't make comics then.
Right.
But yeah, so I got into music and I was a big music kid. I always loved comics, but I was a big music guy and just sort of, I think when I was a senior in high school, my parents had moved, and so I lived alone, and bands used to just crash my house because I had an apartment in New York and people could stay there, and it was like dirty and gross, but it was like a place to sleep. And this band stayed with me, and they were like, I was talking to them, and they were like, oh, our merch guy, tour manager left, had to go home, and I was like, oh, I'll go on tour with you.
Yeah,
and they were like,
I've done that many times.
Yeah, and I just, like the next morning, I just like filled a duffel bag full of stuff and got in their van and was gone for a month and a half, and I just sort of fell in love with that, with like going to shows like every night and traveling the country and all this stuff. And I came back and had to like do a bunch of makeup work so I could graduate from high school and that kind of stuff, because they don't love it when you just disappear for a month and a half. And then I just, sort of did every kind of odd job. I managed a record store and worked at a t-shirt printing company for bands and, tour managed and guitar tech. And then I ran a label for a decade with my girlfriend.
What was your label called?
It's called Red Leader.
Red Leader.
Sort of a punk and hardcore.
Like hardcore kind of cool.
Yeah, like a little of everything, like punk.
Can we still buy the stuff online? Can people check it out? Or is it taken down?
No, you can find stuff. I mean, the only bands who are like, I mean, we put out that band Strike Anywhere's first record.
Nice. Wow.
From Richmond, a band called Polar Bear Club from upstate New York put out their first record. Their second record, they had an EP out. But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of like sort of like more political punk and hardcore, but some indie rock stuff. There's a band called Scream Hello from New Brunswick, New Jersey, who still write music together and are awesome. But I just hit a point where I was like really burned out on music, and it was just like, it's a really brutal, awful business to try and make a living in. And I was like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And the only thing I like as much as music is comics.
Let me go into another brutal business where it's harder.
Yeah, like where can I go to make less money doing the same amount of work? But my buddy Patrick, who was a singer in a band, singer in a bunch of bands that I was friends with, he was the only friend I had who liked comics, and he was a writer. And I was like, we should write comics. And he was like, how's it work? And I was like, I have no idea. And so we just like literally set out together to try and figure out how to make comics. And now he's still in bands and stuff, but he writes comics for a living. And I do too. And so it sort of worked out.
That rules. Joey from the Banner, he just got into making his own. I think he just released his first comic you can read online. And he's just likes to draw mostly. So maybe talk to that guy. I'll pitch it to him. I like that guy a lot. I like you a lot. It's kind of same worlds,
I know Joey. Yeah,
cool.
Joey, like we used to put out a bunch of Jersey bands, so I knew.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I wasn't that tight with Joey, but I had other friends who were in the Banner because they have a lot of people go through it.
Same circles, yeah, man. That's very cool.
So.
Yeah, I'm the same way, where I feel like music was my anchor for most of my life, and I also lost my passion once like a bad breakup happened with like the bands, And I was like, all right, well, I'm kind of done with music in general. And then like, what used to make me happy when I was a kid? What else used to make me happy? I always went to music, like comic books. I used to love that. Like, what's going on with comic books? Let me get back into it. And then you got so passionate about it. I'm like, I gotta talk about this stuff. Like none of my friends like comic books, and I found these guys and they're like, all right, I like talking about comic books too, so here I am. But it's great. It's the same thing where I feel like comics are so amazing.
I think especially when you deal with like punk and hardcore, but like there's a certain commonality between that and comics, and like it goes from everything to like collecting vinyl records and collecting books to like going to like specialty shops of record stores and comic shops and digging through like the crates of records and back into them. Like literally the physical motion of being a fan of both mediums is like the same. And
exactly the same. Yep.
Yeah, you go into like, you go into a comic nerd's house and like you'll see like their bookcases and like what they cherish, and you go into a record nerd's house and it's like the same thing. Like, like first printings of some rare book and first pressings of some rare record. It's like all the same.
Like you got a test pressings, you got the ash cans,
Yeah, exactly.
I think you just said it. It was like the motions, right? So if you're flipping through a long box, you're doing this. If you're flipping through a crate of records, you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's a weird commonality to those things, and I think the mindset of it, like, it's one of the things that I think about in comics a lot, because people are always like, oh, comics is going to go away and collapse. And I was like, that already happened. Like, we've already, we're already through that.
Past that. We're post that.
But like, I was still putting out records when the record industry collapsed and all the record stores died. And then
CDs
sort of, CDs and, digital and MP3 and Napster and all that shit. And like, now there's a resurgence of record stores because people are like, I like having a physical thing. I like having a vinyl LP. Yeah. And I was like, comics always had that built in. Like, there was never a move to be like a shittier version of comics that like people had no emotional attachment to. Like, the physicality of comics is like, it's what's saving the music industry is the physical, like the item, and that's always been inherent in comics. So I was like, this is it. Like, these are the people who like understand that sort of tactile love of holding a book. Like,
yeah. I feel like that's growing too. Strangely, just like records. At $20 spin, we had our Black Friday sale. Like, I was already trying to catch up on orders. It was like 600 plus, and then went to like 2,000 after one day. I was like, oh no! So I've been working like 12-hour days trying to get this stuff out. Yeah. And I feel like the same way with comic books. I feel like there's a lot of people who are just getting into comic books, as most people don't think so. I feel like I'm always telling people, giving away stuff, comics for free, trying to get people into it. And I see them buying stuff constantly, and I always see that it's kind of growing in that, and a more appreciation for it is happening as well. And I don't know, I see bright things ahead for comics, physical stuff. There's always humans are always going to collect things. That's just part of nature. People want that physical thing, and digital's cool too when you run out of room. But you still want to collect those things that you really want and cherish. So you're always going to have a market for that.
100%. Yeah.
Awkward silence. I was waiting on Gaumer to drop something on you. You want me to hit another question here?
Yeah, hit another question.
Yeah, let's go.
Spin Whiz Comics says, what do you see as the biggest? Yeah, I don't really know where you want to go with this. What do you see as the biggest hurdle in comics right now outside of Marvel and DC? You could take that a lot of different ways.
It's a little loaded.
What's the biggest hurdle? Like, I mean, I think, I think the biggest obstacle in comics...
Editors.
All the other crappy writers. No, it's no. Actually, the thing I deal with the most is like accessibility, because it is like people. I mean, like the downside of what we're talking about. Yeah, is like you can always be like, well, Comixology, but people who are into the culture of comics don't want a digital like there are people who are into the culture of comics and do, but a lot of people like want to go to a store, want to have that experience, and want to buy a book, and either the store is too far away, or the store is awful, or whatever it is. Like, there are just places in the country where like it's not easy to get to a comic shop, and that I think is a huge hurdle. Like, the idea, especially if you're like a kid, like to be like, yeah, every week you have to go in, you have to convince your parents to drive you to this place to spend $4 to buy this thing. Like, that sucks. It's a weird thing for me because I grew up in New York, so it's like, well, and I grew up by a comic shop, but like, it's always just a subway ride. But like, once you're outside of a major city, it's like, it was a very big learning experience for me, where I was like, well, just ask for this. I'd be on Twitter and be like, ask for it at your local comic shop, and people would be like, that's a 2-hour drive, man. And I'd be like, oh, sorry. Yeah, never mind. Right. Like,
well, there are a few good online retailers. Yeah. But then you're there's something about going to the shop, picking up and saying, like, choosing, this is the copy that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Someone's not handing it to you. Even when with my pull box, even when they hand it to me, I still go to the back, and I'm that obsessive compulsive. I'm looking at the spine. Oh no, that's got a tick mark. Does this one have a tick mark in it? Nope, I'm taking that one. That's covers and stuff like that. But yeah,
it's really hard, and that's a sort of big obstacle in comics. I would say the other thing is just the amount of comics. It's like, it's so daunting and overwhelming, the amount of, like, even outside of Marvel and DC, to just be like, if you don't know about comics, it's really hard to, like, I mean, I think we probably all forget this because we know about comics, but like, if you walk into a comic shop and you've never been in one before, it's just a wall of like colors and
sensory overload.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's option paralysis. It really is. Especially if you don't know what you want or what things are. It's just everything. You're just, wow.
The retailers have to work harder to sell that comic, and I think you talked about it earlier. Reaching out to those retailers, they're the ones that will reach out are going to reach out and say, no, Hawkeye, here's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely a thing that, like, you see, and I don't want to sit here and like talk bad about retailers, because there's, they're the reason I can pay my bills, and I love them. But you do see the shops every once in a while where you're like, oh, this is a person who in the 90s lived because every kid knew who Batman was and every kid knew who Superman was, and they didn't have to do anything. They just sit there and be like, yeah, we got 600 copies of X-Men, and 600 kids are going to come through that door and buy it. And in the new landscape where, like, No, you have to be able to sell a kid Saga. You have to be able to hand sell a kid, like Sex Criminals or, like all this stuff, and stay on top of it and know what these books are and talk to a more diverse readership. Like, it's work. It's not easy. It's, it's like running a restaurant where you have to change the menu every single week. Yeah. It's like you don't have just one recipe. It's not McDonald's where you're just going to be like, it's a hamburger and these kids will come in and buy a hamburger every week. It's like, well, the hamburger last week was Saga, but Saga's on hiatus. Like, the hamburger this week is Wicked Divine, and that's now on break. And now it's, and that's a real challenge to like be the retailer and stay on top of that. But as a fan, it's the same thing where it's just like, I mean, like, imagine walking into like a video store and being like, I've never seen a movie before, right? You're just like, oh my god, I don't know what I like I have no idea.
So this 28 Days Later is a sequel to 28 Days, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw 28 Days. I loved it. It was so funny. I'm gonna watch 28 Days Later. It's not gonna work. Yeah.
I almost convinced my mom to do that when we were kids, to rent that. She's like, this doesn't look right.
I think something good that comic creators can do, and it's like this, and maybe it's because I'm a podcast guy, not just that I host a podcast, but I listen to podcasts. And when I can listen to creators and get a look at who they are, we joke about it on this show all the time. Oh, the first question we fire off is, what's your favorite Rocky movie? To catch you off guard, and let's start a conversation that goes somewhere other than comics, and that's what I like. And that's why I like, Stegman and Donnie Cates doing their podcast and getting to see how they interact with each other. That's huge, because when you can relate to a person, and maybe I'm just a loyal person, I'll buy everything you put out.
You relate to the way Stegman and Donnie interact with each other?
Yeah, I'm an asshole,
man. People are emotional people. You tap into someone's emotions. That's you watch commercials. When commercials try to hit that emotional heartstring to sell their product, that's what they're doing. People are emotional beings, and if you could tap into that, then you can connect with them, and they'll buy your comic again.
Yeah. Here's another fun one from Ninja Fingers. He says, if you could write a DC character, which one would you choose, and what direction would you take them?
I grew up and I was a Marvel guy. Like, that's what my brother read, so that's what I read. The only DC character I read when I was a kid was Batman. I was a big Batman fan. And there's, we could talk all day about how Batman is the most...
I think you'd crush Batman. That'd be awesome.
Marvel-esque. Well, thank you.
Sure.
He's the most Marvel-esque of the DC characters. He has a sort of Marvel-ish origin. But I've always sort of like the Bat family and Batman are the characters I really like. I always like... my sort of brain gravitates towards like the dark and brooding Batman, and that sort of makes sense to me. But actually, what Bendis and Nick Darrington did with their the one that was in Walmart that's coming out now,
Universe.
Batman Universe, like where it's just fun and bright and energetic. That to me, I was like, oh man, like a fun, funny Batman book would be so much fun to do. And like, I don't know how much. Like, it couldn't be Batman. Like, that's not what the Batman book is. But like
doing like a Batman X-Force, like kind of that style,
Yeah, like a Bat family book of just like the dysfunction of like Damian being a lunatic and like Jason being a monster and like all like just like Batman surrounding himself with all like these 4 like generations of like kids who are all like kind of weird, and he's kind of crazy, and like that dynamic, like I think it would be a really fun book to do. And I think a more lighthearted Batman, like not necessarily like a Batman 66 like the show, but like sort of like an evolution of that kind of spirit. Like that the villains are so fun in that, and it's I think there's a way to do it where it's fun but not goofy. Because you watch the show now and it's sort of like, are they making fun of Batman? Like a little bit, they're sort of like a little bit it's making fun of the idea, which like is fine, but I wouldn't want to do that. But I think a fun, funny, sort of lighthearted Batman would be cool.
I feel like you always have that, man. Like your Tales of Suspense, your New Mutants. It always had that levity in there. Those jokes, man. It always made you smile or laugh somewhere in there, but it was always so compelling too at the same time.
So,
yeah, that kept me coming back to Multiple Man. Was that?
There you go. Yeah,
that humor side of it was it's amazing.
So the correct answer to that question was Condiment King.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't get that one right.
That's all right. We got some great parting gifts. No, I'm kidding.
Do I get the book? Do I get the?
Hey, you can pick yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, let's we'll wrap things up and get you out of here in just a second. I want you to give the pitch. We did talk about Hawkeye Freefall, which drops January 1st. Everybody look for that, but kind of give the short pitch for that again for anybody that just dropped in.
Yeah, so it's Clint Barton, who is, if you missed it before, he's the best Avenger, and there he is. And it's basically, you know, us trying to do Clint in his work-life balance of being an Avenger and being a boyfriend and a friend. He gets in a fight with the Hood, and it doesn't go great, and he sort of becomes obsessed with the Hood in a kind of destructive, self-destructive way. And so it's Clint sort of holding on to something too much and not letting go. And in the meantime, there's someone who's running around dressed like Ronin, which
that's right. I heard.
He used to be Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's sort of drawing all this attention on the Clint, and like people keep sort of being like, "Are you Ronin again?" And the new Ronin is terrifying the city, and
evil Kate Bishop. No, I'm just
and so he doesn't want to. You know, it's a bad time for people to be sort of looking at him because he's trying to take down the Hood and make the Hood's life miserable, and Ronin is kind of making his life miserable, and they're in this weird triangle of like bad ideas and taking things too far. So it's a little funny and it's a little sexy and a little crazy, and Otto Schmidt's drawing it, so it's super beautiful.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
It looks great. Yeah.
I know we're all looking forward to it. We're going to be reading it. We're going to be talking about it here on ComicCast and following along with Clint on that journey. It's time for the hard part of the show. Free trade paperback for 4 kids. Walk into a bank. Can't recommend this book enough.
It's going to Ninja Fingers.
Ninja Fingers.
All right.
Congratulations. Send us a DM on Twitter at ComicCastPod.
There's a sequel to that coming out soon, isn't there?
That's
Just
all right.
talking about bank. We're not. It's not an actual sequel.
Okay.
Tyler, who drew it, and me are doing a book at Image called "What's the Furthest Place from Here." That's sort of a spiritual sequel because it's about kids and growing up, but it's not the same characters. It's not I can't say much more than that, but it's not. It's a post-apocalyptic story, so it's a little different.
Rosenberg universe, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lemire's Black Hammer. You're starting everyone over here.
I think, Jeff's got a good head start on me on his universe. So, I'll catch
Wait
up
to the crossover.
Yeah, if I live to be 400, I'll catch up.
Four kids walk into a Fallout vault.
Yeah, exactly. It's different. Our new thing called "What's the First Place from Here" is real different because like 4 Kids Walking to a Bank was sort of like me and Tyler sitting down and being like, "What's a bunch of the stuff we love?" and talking about like crime stories and like old like adventure comics we liked and sort of like types of comedies we liked, and sort of throwing that all together and seeing if we could make it work as this like heist movie about children that's sort of a comedy but like kind of about like growing up and being dysfunctional. And so What's the First Place from Here is like all the stuff that we didn't include. So it's got like horror elements and sci-fi and post-apocalyptic stuff and like gangs and stuff. So it's like all the influences that were on the cutting room floor of 4 Kids are in this book is sort of our pitch for it.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. Matthew's Twitter handle, his website, everything is down below. Give him a follow and look for Hawkeye Freefall coming out. Anything you want to say before we get you out of here?
No.
Thanks for writing
later, suckers.
Thanks for writing dope comics, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I love like all your stuff, dude. We've been keeping up with your career for so long, and it's nice to finally talk to you. I've been trying to talk to you like personally for like 2 or 3 years at different conventions. I run around with another crew besides ComicCast that does interviews, and I could never catch you. So I'm just like stoked to finally have this screen-to-screen interaction.
I don't spend a lotot of time at my table. I get stir crazy, so I walk around.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, but we know
you and Donnie are smoking doobies out the back. See you bad kids.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think that. No, I'm straight edge and Donnie doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
We're the good kids. We're drinking milkshakes out back. But thank you guys for having me on the show, and thanks everyone for tuning in. This was awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging out.
All right, later, guys.
Later.
All right, guys, don't leave just because Matthew's gone.
You know they're going to.
Yeah, the live chat's about to drop.
We got our free book.
I'm glad you said that. I was about to walk off.
Right?
We can fix
Dude,
that.
I'm telling you,
I got him.
he's got a Joe Quesada thing going on this year. I don't know what. There's a rumor that Joe Quesada is doing something in 2020.
You were
something's happening. I wanted to push it, but I was like, nah, Boogie will boot me off the damn show.
Spin Wiz Comics says, wait, there's more. We do a comic book review podcast every Sunday right here on the S&B Network. Stick around. We're going to talk, as you can see on this beautiful ticker down below.
Gaumer, you were like the late night talk show host when they're trying to get the MCU actors or Star Wars actors to spill secrets.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I want to break news. What do you mean? What is up with that? I want to break news.
At least he's honest.
I will say, everybody hanging out in the live chat, man, you guys were dropping some good questions. It's hard to balance that with the conversation that's going on. But we appreciate it. And I won't lie. I don't have to pretend. Ninja Fingers goes to the same comic shop that I do, so I don't have to pay anything.
Nice.
I can just hand him this book.
Tell Dwayne to throw it in his box.
Does Ninja Fingers have a pull box? Yeah.
Well, you know that's Matthew Lane, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if he has a pull box though.
Yeah, he gets like one book a month. He's got a pull box.
Okay.
Let's keep this train rolling.
Yeah,
you guys want to talk Star Wars?
Dude, how about Kudrinsky got the project 12 days?
Or Gaumer can just talk about
Punisher. I can't get over this interview. You've added a new category for the end of the year stuff. I'm sorry, this one. Yeah, that Kudrinsky bomb. I had no. Dude, if I'd have said, this artist got the book 12 days before it was due.
Dude, his art is so detailed and realistic looking. It makes no sense how he got that. And that first issue, I remember when that first issue came out, we were all like, what the heck, man? This guy is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And he tells the story like, I was really bummed out that we got Simon Kudrinsky. You know, he sort of fell into it. But, I mean, the rest is history, dude.
It elevated that book.
And Kudrinsky too. He got big work after that, dude. You know, he's doing X-Men now. He's got Superman gig earlier this year. He's one of my favorite artists of the year. But are we talking about Star Wars?
I don't think Jason, just give the short and sweet. Yeah, give the short
and sweet. I liked it, man. I mean, I wasn't a fan of Ryan Johnson's work. Yeah, and some people were like, oh, you know, he did something different, but like that'd been cool to do something different after the storyline was told and not in the middle of it.
After finish the Skywalker saga is the
exactly, and then do your own new thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So with this one, I thought J.J. Abrams did what he could, given the mess that was given to him. You know, so I think he did a pretty good job. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun little new characters too. A lot of good throwbacks. A lot of fan service. You have I'm not going to spoil anything. Never mind. I was going to say something. But
you shouldn't.
No, overall, man, it was cool, man. Check it out. You got to check it out. It's a new Star Wars. Like, why not go see it in the big screen at least once? You know what I mean? Enjoy the big festival of it. You know, and then go home. You don't got to like it. Don't even got to watch it ever again. Just do it once. Just experience it. You know.
I put it on the cover photo, and then I was like, I'm not even going till Monday. And then you said you were going. I was like, we can still leave it.
Star Wars has become this monster that people it's like politics, you know, you say you're one side or the other and people sort of brand you a certain way with everything. And it's like, you can't just say, I kind of like Star Wars and people hate you for it. And it's so weird to me, man.
Some people are like, oh, which one? You know?
They immediately judge you when you say which one.
Yeah, they've got a litmus test. My adoration for a fandom. Quit gatekeeping my fandom. Just let me like something or not like something. And that's me not even giving my opinion overall on Star Wars.
Something comes out and that's not my Star Wars. And then the next one comes out and it's like, who are these characters? And then the next one comes out and it's like, that's fan service. And then the next one, it's like, never happy, man.
They were never from episode 1 on, dude. They were never gonna please all of the fans.
I liked episode 1.
I like
3. I like episode 3.
I like all of the Star Wars movies for what they are, but as a whole, as like a 9-episode story, it's disconjointed quite a bit. You know, you need Clone Wars, that animated thing, to fill in a lot of gaps between 2 and 3.
I'm excited to watch that stuff too, man.
It's good. Clone Wars is awesome. But you know what I mean. Star Wars is what it is, and like Jason said, it's a spectacle on the screen. Just go and freaking enjoy yourself. Quit stewing so much.
Yeah, it's just mindless entertainment. You know? Yeah, exactly. It's funny because there's like this new generation who think those episodes 1 through 3 are like the best thing, like because they grew up with it, and I did too. But like that's a little past me as well. I feel like people that love it so much are a little younger than me, and so like it's the best thing ever. And I'm like, that's fine, you can like that. I'm not gonna tell you like it's trash to your face, but like, in my opinion, I don't like them. I like 3.
Sure.
But still, just let people enjoy stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
let's let people love stuff.
That's the main. Let people enjoy stuff.
So, Gaumer, do you want to have a love fest over Watchmen? Over Watchmen?
Yeah.
My God. Oh my gosh.
Don't spoil this either. Don't spoil this either.
I waited for all of Watchmen, HBO's Watchmen, to be on, available for streaming because I get a free 7 days through Amazon. So I'm going to use it to my advantage. Loophole in the streaming. But oh my God, dude, I went out on a limb earlier. I'm going to do it live on the show. This is the best season of television I've ever watched. Yeah, it was amazing. Awesome. And I'm saying this as like an Alan Moore beard hugging fan of Watchmen. Like, I did not like the fact that they did a movie. The movie was okay for what it was. But to me, Watchmen as a comic is quintessential comic book storytelling. You can't really tell that story in another medium the same way, with the same level of respect and the way they did it. But the Watchmen HBO show tells the story in sort of the same way. It's an homage to the comic, but it's its own thing. It uses the seeds planted in the comic, but expounds on them in ways that are new and fresh and relevant. And it doesn't disrespect it at all. Yeah. And it does things with the screen. Like in Watchmen, they use a comic book. In the comic book, in the HBO show, they use TV shows as a prop the same way they did. And it's a wonderful homage. And Jason and I were talking about it earlier, the details, the little Easter eggs, and the way they film certain things to bring out emotion.
The screen transitions.
That's what I mean.
How, like the fade in, fade outs. And oh my God, it's a beautiful looking show.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So good.
In the same way that I think Watchmen is the best comic book of all time, I think the Watchmen TV show is the best TV season of all time.
Oh, wow.
Because of the way they do it. They do it in a way that is TV, but it still pays homage and it's wonderful, dude.
I thought it was great.
I could do a whole hour on it, dude.
Dude, it was different and it was great, but like it wasn't like, in my opinion, I'm not a fan, as you guys know, of the Joker movie. For me, it felt like a script written for a remake of like, the De Niro Taxi movie with the Joker sticker on top of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. With this, it didn't feel like that. It felt like its own completely thing, naturally made this way, not some bull crap written with the Watchmen sticker on it. You know what I mean? So it was they nailed it. I thought they nailed it. And I would love to see more. It's rumors there's going to be a season 2. And I understand why, because it's so popular, and usually when things get a sequel, they get double the budget. You don't really need to do that. There doesn't need to be a sequel. Could he pull it off? Probably, maybe. Would it be as good as season 1?
They'll pull it off. It'll be entertaining, but it'll never be as good as having one season, because it won't be one season. I think that's an aspect of it that makes it so good. Yeah, you don't need any more. Just like the Watchmen comic, and now we have Before Watchmen, and dare I say Doomsday Clock, which is a good segue.
I love Doomsday Clock.
Unless you want me to talk about Suicide Squad first.
You had a nice segue and then you changed it.
And then I blew it. We'll get to Doomsday Clock is a great segue for after. Yeah. You're just giving away all kinds of free stuff in the chat.
Dude, I know. I'm telling you, this was like going to be the biggest episode ever, trying to blow this thing up. You guys can help us. Smash the like button, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook,
share it,
Periscope, wherever. Smash the like button, retweet it, share it, post it on social media. Help us grow ComicCast. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I'm a huge fan of Alan Moore. I have to say, the Mastodon's talking. I am a huge fan. Not just his work either. The stuff he says that sound crazy. If you dig in, just like his comics, if you dig into what he's saying, he's got truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got truth. A big fan of Alan Moore.
Yes, Rennie brings up Harley Quinn TV show on DC app. I like it. It's been fun. It's been great animation.
The animated one?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a free trial. I'm waiting for the whole.
That's great animation style, man.
Adam can tell you how to get it for free.
You're right.
No, I can. I don't know how to get it for free. Showbox is gone, so
R.I.P.
Or Adam.
That's it. That's it.
No wonder he doesn't want to review TV shows on the channel. He can't watch them for free anymore. Let's talk about Suicide Squad.
Tom Taylor, one of the best writers of the year. Tease. Bruno Redondo, Adriano Lucas did some colors, and Wes Abbott did the letters.
Hey, Abbott.
Hey, Abbott. Bad Blood. This was wonderful, man. Tom Taylor introduces a new team, a new status quo, a new team director with action-packed pacing and pretty good dialogue. I thought the dialogue was really snappy. There's like a superpower team of terrorists, the revolutionaries, but they're really freedom fighters. They're doing like good stuff, which is weird because I thought that's what heroes did, but they're doing like good stuff the bad way, disrupting world powers. So this new guy named Locke dispatches the worst Task Force X ever. I mean, it's just terrible. And they even mention it. They're like, man, this is the worst Suicide Squad ever. We're terrible. Sends him out. But his true intentions are actually to use this more disposable than ever Suicide Squad to recruit Suicide Squad style, these revolutionaries. And he does it, and he forms this pretty cool new Suicide Squad team. Amanda Waller quits. This Locke guy is now in charge. He has no problem with just murdering Suicide Squad members, just blowing up the bombs in their heads. He's hardcore. Lots of murder, lots of mayhem, really crazy, and a lot of potential moving forward. I thought this was a perfect debut issue for a team that really I don't even really care about, in comics. Suicide Squad, I've never said, oh, you've got to read Suicide Squad. But now I'm like, hey, you should check out Suicide Squad. Tom Taylor's wonderful.
Spin Wiz Comics hanging out on Periscope says, great job, guys. Family time. Have a Merry Christmas or your version of it, and Happy New Year.
My family? Do I need
thanks
to
for hanging out. It's the first time that they've ever been here. So thanks for joining us. Hope to catch you down the road. Jason is back from his bong hit. Let's get back to Suicide Squad. For me, Gaumer, you sound excited. For me, this was a whole lot of mediocre. I expected too much. I expected more, but I know I see what Tom Taylor's doing. It's a setup issue. He's establishing these new characters. He already said everybody's going to die, and a lot of people already died. But did you care? Did you care?
Well,
no, you don't lie. You didn't.
Yeah, but I don't think the point of it was to care, though. It's more like you want to see action happening.
And that's where I mean that's the next thing in my notes.
Question, I didn't care about the individual character deaths, but I did care that the character deaths were an overarching part of the story. It did feel like there was actually something to be afraid of for a Suicide Squad. It's like The Walking Dead. You read The Walking Dead, nobody dies. Early on in The Walking Dead, everybody could have died.
Everybody does die in that book.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying, especially the TV show. Let's not take the comic, but on the TV show, it didn't feel like there was that initial risk. And in Suicide Squad, that was always the problem with me. Nobody ever died. Mm-hmm. It's a Suicide Squad, so it's supposed to be these super dangerous, impossible missions. Someone should die.
But if you're going to introduce all these new characters, I think you should try to make me care about them.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going on now, though. That's like, for instance, one of the brothers died, so now you kind of care about him. You know what I mean? It's kind of setting up all the emotion and impact for later. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the important part. Is moving forward, is this book going to stay the way this first issue was, or is it going to build and create that emotion that I want in a comic book?
I think a lot more people are going to die next issue, but I think those deaths are going to get more important as it goes along, and you get more attached to these characters.
I mean, I'm going to give it a first arc. I'm going to give it 5 or 6 issues, and I think he's going to pull me in. I think
and you're right, Boogie. But there's a fine line between getting the reader attached to new characters, learning to know who they are, but still building that threat, that potential that anybody at any time could go away and die, and hard to use that as like a device to tell a story. You know what I mean? It's complicated. I think Tom Taylor can do it, but yeah, like Jason said, I think this is really just building and introducing. But again, I'll stay on that as a debut issue. I thought this was a perfect debut issue, and it's got a lot of potential.
Adam,
it was what I don't feel like it did anything great. I don't know. It's just. I was more hung up on whether that was actual king shark or another shark. I was like, okay, and the people started dying, and I thought it was a nice little they got the. I don't want to spoil the end, but I don't know. It just felt. It did not feel like anything great that I wanted to continue on to issue 2. It was like okay, cool, done.
I want to see who dies and how they die.
But that was just me.
That's the biggest appeal for me right now.
It didn't excite me, I guess.
Well, you know it's coming. He's already told you everybody is going to die, and that's why he's introducing these new characters, so they can kill people, and that's as long as it's fun along the way.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
And Ninja Fingers is right. Ostrander did kill people. That was quite some time ago. I think we've had at least 2 or maybe 3 volumes of Suicide Squad since then, and those have been subpar, in my opinion. But I enjoyed a Suicide Squad book. That's the biggest shock for me of the week, honestly.
They set up this new, boss bad guy that you don't like. He's a jerk. Amanda Waller's retiring.
She's
at the end of it,
she's dude.
At the end of it, she's coming back. You know what I mean? Like, he must have some dirt on her, and they're gonna figure out a way to defeat this guy. So but it's gonna be a fun ride. I think it's all about the ride.
Let's move on. Okay. I don't have a segue. Doomsday Clock, number 12.
All right, let's jump into this.
We need you to recap 11 issues.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when that Green Lantern guy was on the train? I forgot all about that part.
I'll address that. I'll address that stuff. But so this is written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank, Brad Anderson, letters by Rob Lee.
Lee.
And it has been about almost 3 years since the first issue of Doomsday Clock. And it's come to an end. This book, Superman finally faces off with Dr. Manhattan, sort of. And we think we're getting the final showdown, but then a bunch of heroes attack Superman for his perceived relation to the attacks and collusion against Russia. And as Superman fights, Dr. Manhattan does a bunch of thinking and reminiscing, and has himself a big bowl of member berries. And then we get Reggie Long, Rorschach 2. He's attacked, but he's saved by Batman and Alfred, who then give him a little speech, and it's almost like It's a Wonderful Life, with the angel talking, but it's man, Batman. It was this book, man. There's just like so much, and I was like, that's Nightfall Batman right there in that panel, and it's like, what is going on here?
The multiverse is crashing.
And I will say this: if you want a really good review, because this review is, I know it's junk, and I don't care.
Here comes Adam sending you to another show in the middle of our show.
I'm sending you to the Cantu Manchu review crew.
What are you doing?
I'm going to send them.
You're doing what? You're doing what? You guys want to talk about Doomsday Clock number 12?
The thing about Doomsday Clock is it was a good series overall. Yeah. It really was.
No, but no, that's what I was. Am I even on?
You're on, Adam.
Am I?
You are.
I can't tell.
You're on.
Am I on?
Is this thing working?
So, what I was saying was, a good review is our Cantu on this.
Stop bullying him.
Because Am I on?
You're on. Yeah.
Forget it. I'm done.
Bullying you.
Forget it.
Quit bullying, Boogie.
Yeah.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
You should see the review on the Drew Man Cantu True review crew.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Adam. I think it's insane that the show was rumored to come out during the series, and it finished before the series ended.
That's right.
It took 2 years.
It wasn't even rumored. It wasn't even rumored when the first article for it came out, like as issue number 2 was coming
The first episode came out after issue 11. So the whole entire series finished before 12 came out.
11 and 12.
If issue number 12 had gotten delayed one more month, you're talking about an issue dropping in 4 different calendar years.
2 different decades, and yeah, that's odd. But again, the delays aside, honestly, just the delays aside, it was still a good series. There's a lot here that should be more meaningful, though, to the DC universe as a whole. You know what I mean?
But did the delays cause that?
I don't know if the delays caused
that.
The
editorial caused that because it caused rewrites. They told them they wanted to mention Heroes in Crisis back in issue 4.
Did Bendis want Legion so badly?
Yeah, they wanted to mention a bunch of other things in there. It caused Jeff Johns to rewrite. It caused Gary Frank to redo the art. It's a big domino effect because of the head of editorial or Dan DiDio in charge of giving mandates of what to rewrite. And because Jeff Johns stepped down and he started this when he was in charge, so things went a total different direction than what he had planned. So it's awful because
that's ridiculous, dude.
And make things this is supposed to be the capsizing the end of Rebirth, bring on a whole entire new era.
We
for
had
DC,
the whole
and
thing
the fact
laid
it's
out.
Not, yeah, dude.
In that one shot, we had the whole thing laid out. All they had to do was do it. It would have spun in with Year of the Villain. They could have reset everything with the punch, or not even the punch. Now, really all we're getting is hints of what's coming next. They literally mentioned 5G in this.
Dude, that's 100%
like it's
in
a
my
commercial.
Notes
like it's
they
a
put
commercial.
5G in there. And
they told them to write that, guaranteed, dude.
But you know what? All this means is that nothing matters. You can complain about continuity and this, that, and the other. You can do whatever you want. It's comic books. Shut up and read it. If you like the story, fine. If you don't, then fine. But it's New 52, Rebirth, 5G. They mention all of it, and none of it matters because this was just a reset. Just hit the reset button, and that's fine.
The thing about it is, though, you say that it ain't reset shit in the main universe. The main universe still goes on as it has.
It was supposed to reset. Yeah.
It now, if they're going to make this anything in the context in terms of resetting the universe, the rest of the universe now has to catch up to Watchmen or to Doomsday Clock. And that just doesn't make any damn sense. Although, this was a great series. I had a lot of fun reading.
It was so good. It was so good, but it breaks my heart about like what it was supposed to mean and accomplish, which it didn't get to do because of the politics inside DC Company.
Now, with all that said,
makes me infuriating because the previous, who knows what a Jeff Johns plan would have been? Just guaranteed it would have been better than what's happening right now with Bendis and DiDio.
I tend to agree with you, but with that said, really, all it would have been was another Crisis.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you got to capsize the reset button with the Crisis, and guaranteed there's going to be something happening when they all reboot for this 5G stuff. Because guaranteed they're going to start number 1. You're going to have Batman number 1, Superman number 1 with all these characters. So we're going to have a Crisis that's going to have this stuff happen.
We'll never know this for sure, but this is in my notes. Brian Michael Bendis coming to DC Comics ruined Doomsday Clock and Rebirth.
Yeah, could be. I like that.
I mean, I'll say it. I mean, I think I have some strong evidence to suggest if you take the timing of everything.
So it sounds like everybody's on the same page. If you sit down and you read all 12 issues, you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the story. You enjoyed what happened. But on the flip side, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean anything. So that pisses you off. Right?
Everything aside from exactly what the book is, writing and artwork, everything else is terrible. It's the worst it could possibly be. The delays, what it was supposed to be and what is not, lost potential.
Right,
what it means for Jeff Johns not writing at DC Comics really anymore.
Right. He works for Matt Ghost, his company.
Exactly.
Yeah. I looked on their website today, and I wanted to bring this up because there's still some upcoming things that's happening. Apparently, 3 Jokers, he said, I think last week, is still coming out. He's working on issue 3. It's only a 3-series thing, 3 issues, kind of like the thick little
it's like
binding,
a black label.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's 3 issues coming out. He's on issue 3. He told DC not to even announce it till it was done. And they of course, spill the beans.
Of course they did.
So that's still coming out. Also, his Earth 1 Volume 3 is 2/3 done as well. And there's something else coming out.
The Superman. Is that the Superman one? No, he didn't do the Superman one. He did the
Batman.
The Batman one.
Yeah, Batman Year 1, Volume 3. Or something like that.
That's the best one. The Titans one is damn good too. Jeff Lemire wrote that.
I got to read that. So there's something else there that's coming. It's called DC Comics Presents The Killing Zone, a mysterious new pop-up imprint coming to DC Comics. So a whole new imprint called The Killing Zone.
Yeah.
So that's got me curious. I don't know what that means. Is that going to be like a DC Max?
I'm hoping for hyper-violent adult stuff.
Me too, man.
What Black Label was supposed to be?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Boogie. Dude, everything that Black Label was supposed to be.
So what's the point of Black Label now? What's the point of Black Label?
It's like they're Vertigo now. They said before, treat it like Vertigo. Vertigo's dead. This Black Label's now Vertigo.
I haven't read a bad Black Label book yet.
Oh, that's true. I mean,
the Hill House stuff aside, because it's technically Black Label.
Yeah, well, that's different though.
It's different. But yeah, dude, did you guys read the Wonder Woman book this week? The Dead Earth?
I spent $105. I had to put it back on the rack.
It's rad, dude. Danny Warren Johnson. Oh, it's good. Like a post-apocalyptic Wonder Woman thing. It's cool. Never mind.
Last thing I want to say about Doomsday Clock is I want this same creative team to do a book about the kid at the end, the son of the mom and Marionette, calling himself Clark, possessing the powers of Dr. Manhattan. Sign me up for that book.
He ate the egg.
Who knows, dude?
He ate the egg.
This could have been say they did a Crisis and this starts a whole new era of DC rebirth, re-rebirth, or whatever. Say this was his original plan, was to end it this way with this kid. Dr. Manhattan's plan was like, he saw throughout history Superman was the anchor. It says, okay, well, I'm going to make a Superman for my universe to cure, solve the Watchmen universe. But of course, it's a pure Dr. Manhattan answer, and who knows, things could go absolutely bonkersly wrong with this kid. But he has the powers of Superman and Dr. Manhattan. It ends up being like a crazy supervillain that destroys everything. There's so much potential here of what could happen, and guaranteed no one's going to touch it.
No,
you don't think so?
Touch this. I don't think anyone will touch this.
Oh, that's so disappointing. If not. Yeah. There's so much potential there.
I think Jeff Johns could, but I don't think they'll let him. I don't think they'll be able to make a deal where he comes back and actually does something big and huge, and gigantic.
He also brings up the point of voicing your opinion, speaking your truth, but also leaving an olive branch out there as well. And he also mentioned, these crises that's going to happen at the end. One of them in particular was the secret crisis. He brings out there's a battle happening between Superman versus Thor, and a big green monster defends him, which is the Hulk, And this is because I brought this up in the Cantu Review Crew show. I brought up what if this was his pitch also? If you want this to happen, he doesn't technically work for DC. He's hired, he's contracted by DC. He get contracted by Marvel and make this secret event happen if you wanted it to.
And it wouldn't even have to be an event. He could just do a crossover.
Yes.
Like a 12-issue max.
That would be amazing.
Crossover.
Can you imagine?
DC loans out their characters. DC loans out their characters for crossovers all the time. Marvel should definitely jump on board.
I would trust Jeff Johns with the characters. He knows all these characters ins and out. He will treat them with respect and observe their power levels. He won't have Batman
Mark
killing
Waid
the
used
Hulk
to be.
Mark
Wade used to be.
Yeah.
You're getting way too excited.
I hope Secret Crisis happens.
Something that'll never happen.
Yeah. Welcome to the world. That's my whole life.
Disappointing. You know what else was disappointing?
Ooh,
the Low Woods #1, written by Carmen Maria Machado, pencils and inks by Danny, colors by Tamara.
It's like Gaumer. It's a one name only.
Yeah, that's true. Letters by Steve Wands. Thanks, Steve.
Steve Wands.
We already touched on it earlier, but I was probably more excited than any of you guys when they announced this Hill House Comics deal, and it's been so disappointing, And I'm still reading.
Now? Is it 3 books now that we've had?
Was this? There's Basket Full of Heads, The Dollhouse Family. Was this the third?
And this, I think this
so.
is the third one.
I guess so. And they've got 1 or 2 more coming. This was. Nothing happened in this book. The characters are bland. The artwork is very loose and sloppy. I mean, you may like it, but it didn't work for me.
It shined in some parts.
It was a style. It's a style. Yes. So I could see some people loving it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a particular style that I didn't dig. But what happened in this book? I don't know. 2 girls went to a movie. Something weird happened. They don't know. We don't know.
They barely talk about that.
Yes. And then they just go through and talk about their town that's been on fire apparently for 10 years for some reason.
Like Silent Hill.
There's a cliffhanger at the end that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's the cliffhanger doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me curious. I didn't like this at all. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I don't have anything good to say about this either. The art did shine in some places where it was like a mosaic and it shapes fed into other shapes, and that was cool, like collage almost. But yeah, Hill House is just a bomb for me.
It seems to me like, I guess in this comic, what small coal town, I guess hell opens up in the mine is what it refers to, but people are, of course, denying it. People disappear, like their parents and stuff. Women and children disappear into the mines. They keep forcing them down there. Once women reach a certain age, they like have this memory gap where they start like standing in like random church parking lots and things like that. They don't know what's going to happen or what they did in the past. It's like kind of blank out, like zombies walk around the city during certain times of the day or night randomly. It's just it's a big mess of like a story and stuff I don't really care about. Like, I'm not going to read issue 2 because it didn't intrigue me enough, even though that might sound cool. It wasn't when you read it.
What you just described sounded way better than the book.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff going on, but we don't really get to see any of that. They just sort of talk about what's going on and almost ad nauseum. Like, they talk about that thing in the movie theater like it's nothing, but they mention it like 3 times. It's like, God, you guys are like talking about maybe being like roofied and raped in this movie theater, but you're just sort of just riding your bike through town, like Helltown, where the mines are on fire. What is going on?
And I thought the whole time they were a couple, and then she's trying to hook her up with this other girl. It made no sense.
Yeah.
I was okay with that. It didn't make any sense, just like the rest of the book. It just sort of went all over the place. Yeah. Whatever. Adam, did you read?
Discount bin.
I would have put it in the discount bin. 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm done reading all these Hill House comics, man.
Yeah, I'm not wasting.
They're like bad Goosebumps.
Basket Full of Heads has gotten better. I read the 3rd issue this week. Wasn't bad. The basket actually has a head in it now, and there's some interesting stuff there. I still wouldn't say go pick it up. I'm just reading it.
It's like FF.
Yeah, not that bad. Calm down.
There's finally a basket in the head.
Calm down.
Or a head in the basket.
Not that bad. Let's get into some random reviews presented by collarandelbowbrand.com. Check out their wrestling merchandise. Use the promo code ComicCast at checkout and save 10%. Gomer, you've got a huge pile, so I'm going to go first because I've only got one book. Family Tree number 2, Jeff Lemire, Phil Hester. Just more of Lemire doing what he does. And there's a good flashback that goes back just 1 year, showing us a few more pieces to the puzzle. And we see a lot more shotgun wielding grandpa. And he showed up at the end of issue number 1, but
I forgot about this book.
You didn't read it?
Oh my gosh, dude. I still have no clue what's really going on.
No, but you're seeing that this isn't his first rodeo dealing with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not going to spoil who he dealt with it for, but it's just the family drama, the broken relationships. It's going to be one of those books, man, that we talk about every single issue. Great issue. May have been better than the first issue.
This will be one of those for next year.
Yeah, it'll be in the mix.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's more Jeff Lemire. I haven't even read The Joker Smile.
Killer Smile was amazing, dude.
He had 3 books out this week, didn't he? At least.
He getting paid today.
Dude.
I still got to read Harleen, too. I got so much stuff to read.
Check out this. We saw this previewed already by Sorrentino. But it's just that great panel. God. Here we go. Look at this, dude. This artwork is ridiculous.
Incredible, dude. It's insane. No one should be able to do stuff that good.
You get that cover, Jason?
Oh,
it is nuts. Yeah, I got them both right here.
You guys are making me work so hard.
It's a beautiful cover.
Oh, the box and the brain.
Yeah, the box and brain thing. Dude, it's next level, man. This is everything I've always wanted to see and read in a Joker story. It's just, absolutely insane. And it seems like they could have ended this story here on issue 2. And I'm like, what are they going to do now for issue 3? What's going to happen?
There's not even going to be an argument for best writer of the year. It's not even going to be a fun category this year.
Matthew Rosenberg, winner.
Oh, come on.
I kid because he was just on here, but dude, for me, Lemire this year.
He's not on the show anymore, Jason. He's not on the show anymore, Jason. You don't have to kiss his ass anymore.
All right.
He's still in the green room, Gomer. He's listening.
Oh, is he? You want me to go?
Awesome.
I don't know. Jason's just talking, man.
Dude, he's like, let me read this Joker Smile book to you. It's so good.
You guys figure it out.
Best thing I read this week, Daredevil number 15, Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto, both in my list for top. I'm going to keep teasing that final episode of the year. Holy crap.
I'm being Jason now. How good was that panel when they walked in and Elektra's standing there in the shadow in the background? Oh my gosh, this book is good.
Daredevil's journey through this has been great. He's finally come to an end. I guess he tops every like metaphysical sort of psychological journey he has. He's emotional with banging some broads, which is good. I know I like to do that as much as I can, but this is the second now broad he's banged in 15 issues, just saying. But Kingpin, dude, the journey of Kingpin is so good. He is at his low point in this, and I can't wait to see what Chip does to bring him back, man. American Jesus, New Messiah, #1, Mark Miller, Peter Groth. This was Mark Miller's like surprise Christmas present book, and it was quite good. It's a modern day nativity story set in the backdrop of the Armageddon story. So it's like, you know, the front of the Bible and the back of the New Testament all together. Justice League 38. This is going to be a little bit of a long one because I have 3 books that are part of this whole thing. Scott Snyder, Jorge Jimenez, Justice Doom War Part 9. Big moments, huge sacrifices, just great art on this. There's just one more issue left of Justice Doom War. And then Year of the Villain Hell Arisen #1, James T. the Fourth, Steve Epting. Are you kidding me? One of the greatest Captain America artists of all time. One of my favorites. This was the Justice League tie-in that gets the Batman Who Laughs all up in this, you know, even harder, among other things.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
This sort of spoils the next issue of Justice League. Because at one point they have Justice League number 38 and 39. And Lex sort of tells you what he does, how the Justice Doom War wraps up. And it's great. And then we also have Avengers number 28, Jason Aaron and McGinnis. Fun in the best sort of way. It's Brood Thor, Cap's lifting Mjolnir, War Widow. Black Widow gets Iron Man armor in this. I love that both the Justice League book and the Avengers book are as good as they are, and they're good in completely different ways. You know, Avengers is just fun, and it's like fan fiction almost, doing weird, stupid shit with the characters. But Year of the Villain feels like it's comics that are played out 10 moves ahead. We know where we're going, and it's the year of Justice League and Avengers for me, man. War of the Realms was really a Thor event, but if you look at the tie-ins, which is where everything happened, that was Avengers all over the place. So that'll be fun to talk about. Old Guard, Force Multiplied, #1. I don't think anyone talked about this. Greg Rucka, Leandro Fernandez. This has been picked up for a movie, and it's a team of almost immortal warriors living in the modern day doing merc stuff. This is actually the 2nd volume. I really highly recommend this. The first one was great. This one was just as good. Guardians 12, Donny Cates, Corey Smith, and a bunch of other people. The cherry on top of Donny Cates' entire cosmic run. This was technically an ongoing series, even though it ended at 12 issues. So this is on my list for best of the year. Is Donny Cates now off of the cosmic stuff? He's still doing
Thor. I mean,
he's doing Thor. So this is the end of the cosmic stuff at Marvel for a while. Especially the way Donnie was telling it, man. Oh my gosh, it was so good. We forget he did that Silver Surfer Black, and Silver Surfer still Silver Surfer Black. He's still all whatever.
I was gonna buy the trade that came out, but it's just a soft cover, dude. I'm like, where's the hardcover, man?
Where
the hell's the hardcover?
Wait, a Silver Surfer Black?
Yeah, you can buy the trade now, but like, I don't want a paperback trade. I want a
hardcover, dude. I don't think it's out yet. I don't think it's out yet.
Oh, like 6 months. I'm not going to double dip either, like, so I got to wait for the hardcover.
Yeah, you'll have to wait. Well, the thing about it is, it sort of had word of mouth success, so they didn't announce the hardcover until later.
Are you going to start yelling about Donny Cates again?
He's so good. You know, his fall is coming any day now.
Jason's already turned on him, man.
No, I think I got more mad at companies. So after I rewatched the episode and I got fired up again at work, I was like, why am I so mad? I'm kind of mad at Donny Cates a little bit because once you reach a name status, you're your own product. You can sell your own merch and things, and people want to support you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, I thought maybe I'm just mad at like Marvel and DC or just big companies in general for not giving power or money to the writers that are responsible for their success. You know, it's
that's been a 50-year battle though, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like, I'm like, how can you know, what is a company or whatever you can make that supports people in general instead of the companies that they work for? I'm like, I guess like Patreon, You know, hey, ComicCast Patreon, go ahead.
Dude, you could make as a writer, make a Patreon account, and once the books are out, put your notes on there, your thought process. You could do commentary.
The artist could do could post the black and white stuff. Yeah,
I'm just thinking. I think a lot of people aren't thinking big enough. You know, these writers and like actors and musicians, dude. If you want to like make some money, make a Patreon so people support you yourself and throw in that extra stuff because people want to know about you. People want to know more about what you're doing, and you're losing money, and now you're yelling about not making money. So like, 100. What are you doing?
100, man.
Right,
I got a lot more, dude. History of the Marvel Universe #6. Mark Waid. Look for this on the Best of My miniseries too. So good. Only Mark Waid could write a book like this at Marvel. Klaus, Life and Times of Joe Christmas #1. Nobody, no one else. Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. This is like an annual event over at Boom Studios. They always put one of these Klaus books out. And this was unique. It was 25 one-page panels, all for a day in December, counting down to Christmas. No word balloons. And it was actually a pretty good story. It was weird, but yeah, really good. Money Shot, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Star Trek Picard, Infected the Commissioner. Anybody on that?
No, I wanted to read He-Man. Was it awesome?
All that stuff I just read. Star Wars Empire Ascendant was great.
I got that. Haven't read it yet.
It was like a preview for all the books they've got coming out next year. Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. I also read the Kylo Ren book. Yeah, I didn't read any X-Men books.
Oh, wow.
Because there were so many damn books. But
how was the Kylo Ren one?
It was cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rad.
Did it have the Knights of Ren stuff in there?
Yes, there's Knights of Ren. This is Kylo before he hooked up with the Knights. The next issue, he's supposed to hook up with the Knights of Ren.
I hear they're going to make a Kylo Ren movie, and it might be his times with the Knights of Ren. Like, that'd be dope.
I would rather see a series. I'd be cool with that. I would rather see a series.
Oh, yeah. I'd totally rather see a Disney Plus series, man. Yeah. Dude, you're right. That would be awesome. I see rumors that it was going to be like a spin-off movie, but I'm like, I'll take it, I guess. But.
Yeah, we'll see. But, man, I read so much more, but those are the ones I wanted to mention. And there were so many books this week, dude.
I want to mention Batman 85. The reign of Tom King is over. The terrorism of Tom King is over.
I'm like 5 issues behind on that.
Oh, jeez. It's satisfactory anyways, either way.
I heard there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in that last issue, though. I want to sift through it.
It's an empty hole of nothingness. But at the end of Batman 85, it does give James Tynion's kind of precursor to what's going to happen. So it has a really cool little 2-page little Joker thing in there, and it's awesome. So I'm excited for his run.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be awesome. I really want to read Batman, Superman. More into the Batman Who Laughs stuff. Because once again, we talked about You're the Villain, Hell Arisen. I enjoyed that, and I want to see more of these two going head to head. So I definitely plan on reading
You did read Hell Arisen this week?
I read it, yeah.
Oh, dude, It was rad.
It was good, yeah.
Oh,
absolutely,
man, so good. I could go on and on about this week's books. This was the best week of comics.
I want to give a shout out too for
ever.
Jenny Frisen's cover for Lola Woods. Even though I don't enjoy the book, I do enjoy this cover. Jenny Frisen always has fantastic art, and she's a lovely lady.
And that's on the Lois Lane. That was on the Lois Lane book.
No, this is Lola Woods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then also Shazam. I had a cool cover.
Oh, that's way better than the cover I got.
That is so good.
So good, dude. And this story was good as well. Now the whole family's back together, and they're kind of in the Wizard of Oz, Wonderland's combo world. It's as if they had a crisis, and they had to combine Woods with the powers of Dorothy and Alice. And so it's going to get really weird real quick. It's been a fun book for me. Here's both covers that I got for Doomsday Clock.
You didn't get
I want the blank. The store didn't have the blank one, man. I got to get that.
The blank one. If you have that, Adam, the blank one actually had the regular cover inside. Yeah, which awesome. I thought was like twice your fun, same money.
And I want to see. I think that's all I got to read. Yeah, we'll say that's it.
At all.
Huh?
What'd you read this week?
I don't have anything. Moving on.
Let's get into the Outright Geekery book of the week. OutrightGeekery.com, your one-stop shop for news, reviews, previews, podcasts, everything geek at your fingertips. Check them out, OutrightGeekery.com.
I love that place.
The freaking guy that runs it's kind of a dick.
A-hole. He talks way too much about comics.
He's obsessed, man. He's got a problem.
He talks shit on the guest hosts. On the guest.
Skulldigger and Skeleton Boy.
From the world of Jeff Lemire, Black Hammer. Jeff Lemire, was it Tonchi Zonchik? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's close enough.
Tonchi Zonchik, I think so. Steve Wands. This is cool, man. I think we all expected this to be good. It's Jeff Lemire. I love the Black Hammer stuff. Those of us who have been reading that stuff enjoy it, And this brings up a new chapter inside the city. Well, I forget what the city is called.
Spiral City.
Spiral City, dude. I need a Spiral City t-shirt.
There is that would be rad.
Yeah.
There's a Black Hammer handbook that you should get to refresh.
I do need that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do need that. But this brings up it's almost like a Batman story, like this kid, he is lamenting his parents' death. They got shot outside like a subway. And it was because he wanted to have dessert at a restaurant that caused this prolonged time. And so he blames himself for whining and when they could have got out of there earlier and they wouldn't have him to come across this person who tried to rob them and kill his parents. So he blames himself. But Skulldigger comes to the rescue. And he's really cool looking. Looks like kind of like a luchador with a skull on a chain, which is pretty tight. You can kind of see it there.
So he uses that as a weapon. Like that chick from Kill Bill.
Yeah, exactly, with the mace.
Yeah.
So he kills the guy who killed his parents. This is his boy's parents. And then, of course, the kid goes to an orphanage. And, I can go beat for beat, but, at the end of it, that cliffhanger, I don't know if we should spoil that or talk about that.
I don't know, man. That's really the selling point of the book.
Yeah, we should not. I guess
it's
we probably
like
should mention
Batman meets Punisher with Batman.
Good call. Yeah.
That's exactly what I had in my notes was
Punisher.
Punisher.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. There's like this Skulldigger is like a Punisher style character, but he gets a sidekick whose origin story is very similar to Batman's.
Yeah.
But
at the end too, though,
there's like a crazy twist.
So I don't know. I don't know.
It's Jeff Lemire doing what he does with Black Hammer, man. He takes the Golden Silver Age stuff, the tropes that we all know and love, that comics built their foundation on, and sort of.
This kid's kicks are tight. That's one.
Yeah, right. He strips them down, puts them back together the way he sees fit, and then puts them in a blender and says, "Nope, I'm gonna flip the script on you." And that's why he's the greatest comic book writer on the planet. Books like this, man.
There's also comic book bullies are going to come after us for that comment.
I don't care. They can keep coming after me.
But we all three said the same thing. The beginning of my notes say Jeff Lemire wrote this. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
They can the bullies can keep saying that we are on Jeff Lemire's jock. It's because I'm legit on Jeff Lemire's jock because his D is great.
Delicious.
Keep giving it. It's delicious. It's delicious. I'm going to keep on it.
I will say this, though. Somebody on Twitter was asking when I tweeted something out about it. They were like, I don't want to read this because I'm not familiar with Black Hammer. You can read this without knowing anything.
I 100% agree. But not only that, once you read this, you'll want to see you'll know what everything is about. And you'll be like, maybe I should go back and read that Black Hammer stuff.
Every one of these little miniseries that he writes stand alone and are great. And like I said, I don't think you have to know anything about Black Hammer. Even the Dr. Star book was so good, and you can read it without knowing anything.
How did you guys interpret this scene right here? For me, I feel like it's Skulldigger thinking about his origins and how it got passed down to him.
That's what occurred to me too. I wasn't quite sure, but that's what it feels like. And see, I don't want to spoil that in because I mean.
Like maybe that was his dad or something,
Is this going to be a you live long enough to be the villain sort of story? And then the next generation is going to come up and it's going to be like an OK Boomer sort of story.
Right. Also want to talk about the villain. He's kind of like a Joker kind of guy, where he has some levity in there.
Yeah, great
design.
Just through the dialogue, though, you get his attitude. How, hey, I'm going to break out of here tomorrow.
Officer, it seems something has just come up that I simply must deal with. Can you please inform Warden Wing that although I've enjoyed my most recent stay here, I will be escaping immediately.
I love his commentary right out of the gate, talking about the guard walking up, and it's just great. The whole book's great.
I guess the policewoman that's in here, it seems like she had a pass with him as well.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. She certainly has it out for him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And this is something that Boogie hates. in a book, but they bring up her sexuality in a way that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the story. But I gave it a pass because it's Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
That it's going to come
I don't
back.
even remember reading that.
At one point, he said the mayor came out, and she's like, "Oh, what do you think? We all know each other?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "No, he came out as a cape." But later on, there's a scene of her in bed with a woman. It's just like one panel where she's sort of flashing around.
Yeah, but
and I don't know where
because he didn't have to put a little dialogue box that says this is Skulldigger, he's gay.
Exactly.
You can write the story and it's fine. There's a huge difference.
No, I'm just saying it's like they brought it up without it being part of the story.
Put it on the back of the book, Lemire. Christian Ward could take notes.
How's he gonna learn unless you do it?
Yeah, how's he gonna learn unless you teach him? But man, gosh, this is
the kid's making this book for me. Like the Punisher type character and smashing skulls is cool, but is it
an unreliable narrator? Is it that kid, or is it Skulldigger when he was a kid?
Who knows, man? We got 5 issues.
Yes.
5 issues to figure it out.
For me, it seems like it was the kid that was saying that.
Me too.
But you're right. It could very well be Skulldigger that is saying that.
I mean, and that's the great thing about Lemire's writing. It just gets my head spinning because he's got something else planned. It makes me think about what's going to happen. And
you got to read Killer Smile too, man. Oh my god,
man! I got a whole week of reading.
That's my pick of the week. Besides Skulldigger, those two were Lemire books and blew out of the park. So I got to read that third one that he released. Also.
Family Tree. It was.
I got to read that.
Oh, it was great.
Man.
Gosh,
Adam.
Yep. Everything about this book was good. I mean, it was just completely well done. There's no faults in it. At the end of it, you want to know what happens next. The characters were well developed. I mean, everything about it was good. There's like no complaints here.
It's unanimous.
Perfect comic book, $3.99.
Yeah, $3.99.
Perfect score.
So does that mean you're going to pick up issue 2?
Sure.
Are you going to read the rest? Are you going to read the rest of the Black Hammer stuff? Are you going to try to dip your toes into the rest of the Black Hammer?
I don't, dude. I have problems with commitment, so that's why I don't commit to things unless I know for certain I can follow through on it.
You know what I know for certain?
What, Boogie?
Next week.
The Adam Show
is the Adam Show.
We need a different song for the Adam Show.
Yeah, we need.
You guys aren't going to have anything because it's all this crap is saved on my StreamYard. It's the Adam Show. Adam's in charge. You guys can do whatever you want.
All
you have to do is plug Dwayne's World and talk about the book of the week. Other than that, I don't care what you do.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we all need to buy root beers so we can chug along with Adam.
Yes, this is going to be the best show of the year. I know.
I can't wait. I
think so.
You know.
He said he just wants to do it now. He wants to have the Adam Show now. He couldn't wait.
What happened?
What happened on The Witcher this week?
So
I have to switch. What
happened to The Witcher this week?
Oh, The Witcher?
Oh, I didn't see. I got to switch over to StreamYard to see when that. Dude, I don't know. There's boobs.
I hope you're better playing next week. I've got full faith and confidence.
There was boobs.
Dude, that's what you told me. That's all I need.
Yeah,
boobs.
They're Witcher boobs.
I hope not. Henry Cavill's boobs. I mean, he's
not.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some.
He's not hard on the eyes. I'm just saying.
He's got some impressive pecs. He's in there, but
he's Superman for goodness sake. You kidding me?
Yeah, he's a mustache.
You get a chance to bang Superman, you bang Superman.
I feel like I have an advantage because I haven't played any of the games. So anything they do in the show will be new to me.
And I've heard it's not even based on the games. It's all the novels.
Oh, there's novels?
Yeah, well,
that's how much I know about The Witcher.
That's the thing about the games. The games, yes, are a huge hit, but the dude who wrote the novels pretty much gave the rights away to the games for a song. And he's making like nothing off of those games. So he's actually making bank now off this Netflix thing. Which
is he?
I thought it was
good. Yeah.
Cool. He was complaining and crying for a long while. So
yeah, thanks, Chad.
Hey, Chad Johnson, super chat.
It's not the $5 that Matthew Rosenberg got, but wait, Adam, it's your first show. It's your first show.
I asked for no super chats because.
Oh, now see, now you're working against yourself.
While I appreciate it.
Yep. Well, I was taking back over this show real quick. I accept all super chats right here on the S&B Network. We appreciate your support, all of the listeners.
Next week. What comics do we have coming out?
Nothing. It's just what's on the Book of the Week poll.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. There's a
criminal number 11, bro. I'm looking forward to criminal number 11.
Yeah, I'll read that. Incoming is $10.
Jeez, Louise.
And there's no payoff. We know it's nothing more than a primer for what Marvel's doing in 2020.
I read Venom 21.
Go vote on the Book of the Week poll.
Yeah,
it's Spider-Ham. Go vote on Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham number 1, Doctor Strange number 1, and the Kill Lock.
That's an IDW book. It actually looks pretty interesting. It's about a bunch of rogue cyborgs or robots who like team up together to cause mayhem and junk.
Chad Johnson wants a refund on his super chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. All sales are final. You get what you pay for. $2.
Don't vote on Doctor Strange.
All right, Adam, wrap this show up. Give him a preview of what's to come.
For everybody, go watch the Drew Manchu review crew.
Oh gosh. Stop it, Big
and
Willie.
Should I say something that hasn't been said in a while? Get your comic book on.
Yeah.